When you do business in another country, it is just not about numbers, contracts, profits. It's about people and how we connect with each other. Every culture has their own way of showing respect, building trust, and making decisions. And if we as business persons, we do not pick up on those cues, we can easily send the wrong message, get misunderstood, and lose on potential great opportunities or deals. So, specifically looking at Brazil and Turkey, we see two very different but equally in a culture of relationship driven places. They both value trust over anything, but they have unique styles which we're gonna elaborate and explain further. In Brazil, business often starts with a small talk, where we're expected to spend time getting to know people first on a personal level before any real decisions or any business talks are made. Brazilians, they like to build trust first, and conversations can be warm, expressive, and sometimes indirect. Moreover, time is also seen like more flexible, where compared to other cultures where if you're not in control, it's the end of the world, such as the Japanese culture. Turkey, on the other hand, leans heavily on hierarchy. The most senior person usually has the final say, so showing respect to others is critical. Meetings are in a more formal tone, with titles being very important. Also, people often express themselves with energy and emotion. Lastly, negotiation is a big part of the meetings where the first offer is just gonna set the bar and set the tone of the business meeting. Lastly, even though Brazil and Turkey are worlds apart in whole different continents, they both remind us that relationships come before paperwork. In Brazil, success comes from being open, patient, and flexible with time. Meanwhile, in Turkey, it's about showing respect for authority, being professional, and negotiating with confidence, which is very important for every business person. For someone used to make business in Western cultures where everything is fast, profit-driven, direct, and less personal, adapting to these approaches makes a huge difference when going overseas. And at the very end of the day, it is just not about closing a deal, making money. It is about relationships and showing that we understand and respect how business is done locally or in some other cultures. Here are some 5 business etiquette tips for Turkey. First, always show respect to hierarchy and focus on seniors. Second, use formal titles whenever it's possible. Third, do not hold back yourself from showing emotion, gestures, and energy are all welcome and well appreciated. Fourth, dress formally, it's very important. And fifth, expect to negotiate. The first offer is just a starting point.
Hi, my name is Omar Benvenuto, and I'll be comparing Brazil and Turkey and how culture affects business. In Brazil, business is relationship oriented. Trust and personal connections are more important than rushing into contracts. Time is flexible, meetings might not start on time, and communication is warm and expressive. In Turkey, business is more formal. Punctuality is very important and hierarchy is respected. Decisions usually come from top management and professional conservative behavior is expected. Why does this matter? Because if you go to Brazil without valuing relationships, or if you arrive late in Turkey, you could harm the business deal. Both countries value trust, but they show it differently. Brazil through personal warmth, Turkey through respect and formality. In conclusion, understanding cultural differences is not just about being polite, it's a business strategy adapting to local practices, builds trust, prevents misunderstandings, and increase the chances of success in international markets.
Macro perspective, the key lesson is that culture shapes international business is a structural level. In Brazil, building personal relationship and adapting to flexible time are essential for trust and negotiation. In Turkey, business etiquette reflects history, religion, and tradition, show that globalization does not are cultural difference. At the global level, this teaches us that successful companies must develop cultural intelligence, adapt strategies to local norms, and respect diversity. The factors are critical for competing effectively in today's interconnected world.